Okay, so now we're going to be doing experiment 10.1, Boyle's Law. It's on page 292. The materials we need are a small jar like this, like a baby food jar, a funnel, some Play-Doh or modeling clay, so I've got that, a small balloon which has been just barely inflated. You can see it's really soft, and but it has been inflated. Ask for a wall mirror and safety goggles, but since I'm performing this for you guys can pretend to be the mirror and watch. Okay, so it says wash the outside of the funnel, already done. Then number 2, blow the balloon so it's got that is barely inflated, and then tie it off, which I've done that also. It says the sides of the balloon should not be fully stretched out, so it looks like this, as I say. All right, we're going to put the balloon in the jar. Okay, we're rolling the Play-Doh into a tube that is long enough to go around the top of the jar, which I kind of was doing as we were talking. Okay, so put the Play-Doh, tube of Play-Doh around the top of the jar so it sits on the lip of the jar securely. Now we're going to turn the funnel upside down and put it on top. It says turn the funnel upside down and press the large opening down over the jar. It should squeeze the Play-Doh, forming a seal between the jar and the funnel. In the end, your setup should look like this, so it's like in the picture there. Okay, then take it tells you to go stand in front of a mirror, but since you're watching this, I don't need to do this. All right, then what's going to happen is it says this goes down to number 11. While you're watching the balloon, suck on the end of the funnel like you would a straw. You are trying to suck the air out of the jar. Stick your tongue on the opening of the funnel so air doesn't rush back into it, and then exhale. Repeat steps 11 and 12 several times to get as much air out of the jar as possible. So we're basically creating a vacuum inside there. The most effective strategy is to suck, seal, and exhale very quickly over and over again. If it is easy to suck on the funnel, you need to redo it. Okay, so number 14, we'll see what we're going to see. We should see the change in the balloon. So while we're on this, we're going to get close up on the balloon, and I want you to try and watch what's happening to the balloon when I do this. Ready?
Hold on.
Is it changing?
Yeah.
Okay, whoops, I'm sorry. Try it again now. I lost it. Okay, so when I finish though, you should also watch how it collapses again. So let's try again. Alright. I gotta watch the balloon now. Okay, do you see all that? Okay, so what it says is you should have seen a change in the balloon while you're doing all that sucking. To see how much change occurred, watch the balloon and pull your tongue off the opening of the funnel so that the air rushes back in. And then you're supposed to record what you saw and clean up your mess. If all went well in the experiment, you should have seen the balloon inflate a bit as you sucked air out of the jar. When you let the air back into the jar, the balloon should have gone The balloon should have gone back to being barely inflated. Why did this happen? The balloon was tied off, so the same amount of air was in the balloon the entire time. However, as you sucked air out of the jar, there was less air pressing on the balloon. As a result, the air pressure outside the balloon decreased. The air pressure inside the balloon stayed the same. However, and as a result, the air in the balloon was able to expand a little, inflating the balloon a bit more. So in fact, there are 2 ways to inflate a balloon. The easy way, of course, is to just blow into the balloon. The hard way is to get rid of a lot of the air around the balloon. That causes the pressure outside the balloon to decrease, and what air was inside the balloon expands, inflating the balloon. It turns out that you were only able to suck a small amount of air out of the jar, so the effect you saw was pretty small. However, if you have a good vacuum pump and a good airtight seal in the container, the effect can be really dramatic. And you can look in the book on page 293 to see what would happen if you actually had a proper vacuum that was created. All right, so that was experiment 10.1, Boyle's Law.
Who are you and are so wise in the ways of science?
All right, nice. All right, thank you. That's
It's
it for
beautiful.
this one. We're going to go on next to experiment 10.2. Shut up.